Hey everyone, thanks for watching this video. We're so sorry that you missed Engage and Equip just this last Monday. We're making this video so that you can be filled in on the info that we're talking through because this Engage and Equip was very important for kids ministry. I'm Vince, this is Heather, and here we go.
All right, so I'm wondering if you can remember from last time. I know I was in the back kind of messing around with Charity, but I'm wondering if you remember what our 3 goals were for this particular session. So we have the large group session where everybody is together and Nick kind of talks to us as an entire ministry team at High Point, and then we break into smaller groups. And so I'm wondering if you remember what those 3 goals were for this particular kids ministry section. If you don't, well, they are to build a family. They are to build a machine. And the family is where we connect together. We get to know each other a little bit better. We connect as a team. A
Love
group.
each other, get to know each other. Yeah, totally.
And then
build a little ministry family.
Ministry family.
Yes.
So cute. And then also the machine is where we learn how to work together, all the protocols and the routines and the skills we build, our strategies, those kinds of things. And so we're going to build a machine, and then we're also going to keep igniting that fire. We're going to build a fire and just keep the excitement about sharing the gospel with the kids. And so today's breakout is a little bit more focused on that machine part.
Yes.
What are some strategies and skills that will just help us to build that foundation so that our ministry can work a little bit better?
Yeah, so good. So good. So something new we're starting on the machine side of things is the zones of regulation. The zones of regulation are a behavioral kids strategy that a ton of public schools use. There are probably some churches using it as well. It's a way of thinking about behavior and language about behavior to use with kids to help them stay in a place where they can learn the truths of what we're talking about on a Sunday morning. Why are we doing this? Why are we starting something new? Some of you have been using the up rules on Sunday mornings, or maybe you have another system that you use to help kids regulate their behavior. Here's why we're doing another thing. Our surveys last time, the biggest thing that people have said is not working in kids ministry in their area is behavior. That there are still kids acting out, going crazy, not listening, and we need a strategy to help you do the thing that you're passionate about, and the up rules is not accomplishing that for most environments. Maybe you feel okay about the way your kids are behaving, and maybe it's not perfect, but you're like, well, it's fine. We want to have this system in place, though, so that we're able to create that space of relationship building and growth for every single kid. For a lot of kids, you don't have to worry about behavior management, and they'll do fine no matter what. But increasingly, we have families coming from all different life situations. Some of them are coming in the midst of crisis or trauma or divorce, and kids that are coming from a more chaotic home life have a much more difficult time regulating their behavior. And so we want to be equipped to help those kids connect and be ready to learn. We also right now at High Point have a ton of families that are adopting, and they're not just adopting babies, they're adopting kids in grade school or older even, and some of them have been in the foster system. And that is another group of kids that just going about business as normal is not going to prepare us to really create that space. Yeah. Now, as we get into this, some of you are going to think this is so academic and school feeling, and you might either be a little freaked out by that and go, I'm not a professional teacher, I don't know how to do this stuff, I'm freaking out and I don't want to do it. Some of you might go, I'm focused on the heart of the kid and connecting with them relationally, and so I don't want to think about all this stuff that feels so kind of formulaic or whatever. Here's the thing, though. When we spend some energy creating language and structure and a little bit of systems around helping kids regulate their behavior, that structure creates the safe space where kids can connect relationally and kids can grow spiritually. It's like building that solid foundation platform where all the other more intangible and spiritual stuff can happen. The structure is not the goal. The zones of regulation are not the goal. The behavioral management stuff is not the goal. But when the environment is not peaceful and there's not good boundaries and kids don't feel like there are good boundaries, nobody is really focused or open or ready to learn. So we're spending time on this, and we're going to spend some time on it both tonight and in the breakout, and on Sunday morning, on a particular Sunday morning as well. We're going to spend some time on this because we think it's so important to create a space where kids are focused and ready to connect relationally and grow spiritually.
For sure. And the thing about the zones of regulation, too, is that as adults, we regulate ourselves and our emotions all the time. And we've learned how to do it, and sometimes we just do it without even thinking. But kids are not quite sure how to do that sometimes, or even that it's okay to do that. And so as we get into this as well, we just want to kind of, right now I want you to think about your day today, and I want you to think about how maybe things went at work, or how things are going right now at home, or how are you feeling? And if you look at the chart,
which we'll put on the screen right now.
So if you look at this chart, where are you? What color do you associate most with?
As you're watching this video.
Yeah. So are you feeling sad or tired, or maybe you're a little bit you're exhausted because of your day, or maybe you're just like totally totally cool, right? You're happy, you're calm. You might be in the green area, or if you're maybe feeling really silly or wiggly, maybe that's where we are right now.
They might,
But if
I have wiggly days for sure.
If you're overwhelmed, or you're frustrated by something, or maybe you've just had a day where nothing has gone right and you feel red, take a second right now and just think about where you identify in which one of those colors. So the thing about those colors, and the thing about understanding those different zones, is that kids actually come in with those feelings and emotions as well. They come on Sunday mornings having, I know in my house growing up, Sunday mornings were not usually the most peaceful mornings, right? Like trying to get everybody out of the house, and trying to get everybody in and through the one bathroom, and it was just kind of a crazy time. So I can say there's very few Sundays that I arrived at church in the green zone, and but kids come with all different feelings and emotions, and we have to be able to identify that. Because here's the thing, you might be working and doing a lesson and it's just not working, and it might not be you. It might be that the kid is just tired, or the kid is just feeling very silly, or is angry about something that their brother did this morning because at home, and they don't know how to take care of that emotion. And so that's what we want to be able to recognize and help them work through so that we can, the gospel message that we're charged with sharing with these kids really is received well. So that's kind of what we're hoping that you get out of this.
These colors that we have on the screen are just the kind of the basic foundation of this whole zones of regulation system. So let me give you just a quick explanation of how it works. We put those up there just to kind of prime the pump and give you a taste of the whole thing. But here's how the system works. Step one is to teach kids to put their emotions into one of these color groups, so that instead of saying, hey, you're being crazy right now, or you're doing this or that, we put the emotions in these categories so that kids have specific language to use to describe how they're feeling that's common between all the different kids and all the different environments. When you give them this language, one of the things that comes along with that is teaching them that no zone is necessarily bad to be in, and that healthy human beings experience all of these zones. It takes everything out of just the categories of you're doing the right thing in this classroom right now, or you're doing the wrong thing, and it gives them freedom to self-evaluate and say, this is how I am feeling. That by itself is just a big step forward in helping kids manage their behavior, because now we've put it in a category where they can talk about it without the shame and the guilt or the sense that they're getting reprimanded.
Yeah, and the other thing too, like if we think about Jesus' example in the Bible, I mean, there was times when he was angry about things that were happening, and there was times that he just wept and he was sad about things that happened, and that and he was excited about things. You know, like there's all those human emotions. Jesus totally dealt with those, and he was able to regulate those emotions, and he was able to deal with whatever was happening because he was able to manage those. And so understanding that Jesus had all these emotions, had the range of emotions that we do, and so they're not bad emotions. Emotions in themselves are not bad. It's how we deal with those, and we want to help those kids be able to be in a place where they can hear that message.
So as we implement the system, the first step will be teaching kids to see their emotions in these categories. The second step will be to give them tools to actually move themselves toward the green zone in the moment. As you know, when you have felt these various different zones, oftentimes you're like, I don't want to feel this. I want to get back in a place where I'm feeling happy and calm and okay, and not bored or exhausted or sad or frustrated or overly excited or mad or angry, whatever. And we don't always know exactly how to move ourselves back into a place of green. When we see kids, oftentimes when they're acting out or they're not staying on task, we automatically assume, well, they just don't want to do it. A lot of times, just like us, they do want to move to the green zone, but they don't feel like they have the tools that they need. So the second major step of using the zones of regulation system is to teach kids, here are the tools that you can use to move towards the green zone when you're in the blue zone. Here are the tools to move towards the green zone when you're in the yellow zone. Here are the tools to move towards the green zone when you're in the red zone. And oftentimes, just giving kids those tools will be the thing that actually moves them towards being in the green zone.
And the other thing too, when you do that, when you help them identify those emotions and move towards that, that's part of that. I mean, we love, we listen, and we lead, right? And so when we are listening to how they're feeling, oh man, that builds relationships. And that just, it creates a space where you're like, okay, this person is safe. This person understands what I'm feeling, and they really can build that relationship. And so that'll break down walls faster than anything else. When you get to that emotional level with kids, and they're able to feel safe with you. I mean, then, man, you can...
That's a building block right there. That's a jumping off point right from there.
Absolutely.
To learn about their lives. Yeah. That way it's not just about, you need to do this and you're not doing this. It's about, what are you feeling right now? Right. Let's talk about how to work through that so you can get back focused on.
And it's not, it takes you from a place of being like, I'm just your Sunday school teacher. I want you to learn about Jesus and Jesus and Jesus and Jesus, and I don't care about anything else, right? That's while that is super important, it's not how Jesus did his ministry. He was not totally focused on, like, I don't care about you, I just want you to know this. He cared about people. He reached out. He loved the people that nobody else would love, and he felt those emotions. And so we want to do the same thing. We want to understand the kids, and so that we can build that relationship, and so that we can love and listen and lead every Sunday. Yeah.
Doing ministry is not just about teaching the truth.
Right.
It's about the relationship and knowing the person.
And walking alongside these kids for however long they're with us.
Yeah. Amen. Yeah. So that's kind of the process. Step 1, teach them how to put their emotions into these categories. And step 2, give them tools to work through them. And then that's an ongoing process. There's going to be kind of an intro period, and then it'll be an ongoing thing.
So here's what I'm wondering. So we've kind of focused in a little bit more on the kids ministry part, and now let's look a little bit more about how you self-regulate and how you deal with different situations that might come up. And as we do this little activity, and I want you to play along at home, but as you do this activity, I want you to think about how you would move yourself in these different scenarios. How would you move yourself from whatever zone you're in into the green zone? Okay, so let's take a look at scenario number 1. All right, so at work, you're about to finish a project that you've been working on for 2 weeks. You have all of your proposals finished. Your charts are all nice and pretty on your desk. The project is due tomorrow, and you're just about done. Your coworker walks by and accidentally knocks that whole stack off of your desk onto the floor, creating this big mess. Okay, so I don't know about you, Vince. I don't know about you at home. But I know that the anger, the cheeks would get red. I know that I would be in the red zone.
I'd be in the red zone,
Would
too.
you be in the red zone?
Yes.
So what would we do as adults to get out of that red zone, to get back into a place where we could collect our thoughts and move forward and get the project finished? What would you what would you do?
Something I might do is take some deep breaths, maybe get some water, maybe not jump right away into cleaning it up, just like let myself settle for a second.
See, I would be the opposite. I'd be like, I don't care. I need to get this off the floor and on my desk. And so I'd like scoop everything up, put it on my desk, and then I'd walk away.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, like I have to know that at least it's off the floor and nobody's gonna walk in it, and then I definitely, like you, I would totally walk away. I'd be like, I just need a minute. I need to go get a sip of coffee.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So you probably have something that instinctually comes to your mind as well as a way that you would regulate your emotions in that situation.
Right. Number 2. So you have a family dog that's been in your family for 5 years, and you get a call that your dog was hit by a car and that your dog has died. How would you feel? I have a dog, and if that happened, I would totally be so sad. I've had her for 16 years. She's been in our family. Well, no, 15 years, because my sister had her for a year, and then I've had her for about 14. So if my dog died, oh my gosh, even thinking about it right now, I'm like...
I was getting emotional right now.
Whew.
The dog didn't even die.
No.
I was saying earlier that the 2 dogs my parents had when I was like in high school and living at home a little bit after high school, if one of them died, man, I would have been so happy. They were the worst, most yappy dogs.
I'm going to venture to say most of us would be in the blue zone.
Most
if
of us
our
would be in the blue zone, yes.
would have died.
So this is a bad one for me. How would you maybe get... If you were, you're at work and you can't just go home, how do you get back in the green zone?
I think I would have to take some time by myself again. I know that I would probably have people. I'd have to talk to somebody. I'd have to be like, hey, I need to tell you what happened. I need to verbally. I'm a verbal processor anyway, so me talking about it, even though that's hard, I think would get me through the day before I go home and. Use a whole box of tissue and, have to deal with all that. But that's definitely good. Talking it out would help me, I think, get back to that thing. So, all right, number 3. So you are in a meeting and someone sends you an email with these, and you open it up and this is what you see.
Oh, my goodness. I would be dying.
I would have a hard time keeping a straight face for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
The straight out of context. When somebody uses straight out of context, when I saw that, I was cracking up. I don't know if you were in the room at that point, but I was laughing. Yes. It was hilarious. So I know I would definitely be in the yellow zone.
Yes, I would totally be in the yellow zone. There's been staff meetings where somebody texts you something and it just hits you a certain way and you can't keep it together.
Just can't.
No.
Yeah. In fact, we were talking about this, and D-Ridge came over. So a shout out to D-Ridge for the ruthless joke.
Yes.
So that was what kind of got us. We were trying to think of something that would be silly. So if you're just feeling super silly, Charity Maher. But if you're feeling super silly, what would you do to get back to the green zone? What would you do?
Well, this is maybe not totally transferable to kids, but I would sometimes bite my tongue. Until it hurts so bad. Literally just bite my tongue until it hurts so bad that I'm more focused on the pain than the funny thing. That's a little weird, man.
I've heard the expression. I didn't realize. I might have to try that sometime.
Yeah.
This has happened totally in meetings before, and when my phone is face up, that's why I have to keep my phone face down because. Like somebody will text me and I'll just see it and I'll just start laughing. So I have to take those super deep breaths, and I know whoever's presenting or talking is probably like, what is happening with Heather over there? But I just have to I have to let it all out And I mean, and sometimes I just have to go to the bathroom.
Yes, sometimes you do. Sometimes you gotta take a break.
I gotta go laugh at this, or I gotta text back. I gotta respond somehow. And shamefully, I think maybe sometimes I pass it along. That's probably not a great way to deal in the yellow zone, but I don't know. Sharing that, like I said, I'm a verbal processor. Sharing that lets me like, okay, I passed it on. I've done my civil duty.
Yes.
I've passed on the fun. And
yes.
And so the thing is about these strategies, the reason that we did this is because just like we have reactions and emotions to different situations.
And we have strategies.
And we have strategies to deal with those emotions. Kids come in with those emotions and they need to have strategies to deal with that. So we're going to work on that now.
And can I say this real quick?
Yeah.
Again, I kind of said this before, but so often you see someone, a kid misbehaving, and you're like, they just are, their heart is in the wrong place, they don't want to learn, and they just don't have a strategy. And also, you've seen adults, or you've been the adult, where you're dealing with some kind of emotion, often on a longer-term basis, and you might even go to a professional and say, give me strategies to deal with my anger, give me strategies to deal with my sadness, give me strategies to deal with these things. So we're trying to give kids those same tools as well.
Yeah, for sure. So at Engage and Equip, we spent some time in our teams going over how we as adults are already doing some of these things to help kids move to that green zone.
Yeah, some of us have given them strategies already, even though we haven't started this zones of regulation.
Yeah, like, I mean, I see all the time when a kid comes in and is just sad, I see, they come and put their arm around him and say, hey, how are, you look sad. And they recognize that emotion, they identify that, and they, can I give you a hug? Or, hey, do you want to play a game? Can I, talk with you? So you are already doing a lot of strategies that help move kids into the green zone, and we just want to identify those and capture those down on paper in this case, so that we can first of all, cheer that we're already doing a lot of these things. It's not all new stuff that we're going to be learning, but then also identify, here's a couple other strategies that we could use in the case where a kid is super duper silly and needs to kind of regulate a little bit. And so on Monday night, we went through and we spent time in our groups, in our K1, 2, 3, 4, 5, early childhood. We
coming up with strategies for their age group.
The strategies that they use. So we will have some of those, I think, probably for you to be able to see. Yeah,
let's do this. Is look in the email that you received this video in. There should be a link to a Google Doc. If you click that, you can add in strategies that you are already using and you found to be effective to help move kids from each zone back to the green zone. We're collecting those. We collected a bunch of paper ones on Monday night. We're collecting digital ones now. Also, and then there's some that Heather and other teachers have seen to be effective again and again and again and again.
So just because you weren't there doesn't mean you can't participate.
That's right. So when we roll this stuff out, we'll roll out some of the ones that you guys handed in, and then we'll also roll out some of the ones that are kind of tried and true.
For sure.
So go ahead.
Go for it.
So here's the plan. Here's like the logistics of how we're going to roll this out. Over the next few weeks, look for some articles and resources from me about the zones of regulation. And then on April 29th, 2s, 3s, 4s, K1, 2, 3, 4, 5, KP plus, all the different environments are going to spend a big chunk of Sunday teaching this to kids. And we're going to use Jesus as an example of how Jesus experienced those emotions as well, and how Jesus was in the zones. But it'll be a big chunk of the morning is teaching kids, here are the different ways to think about your emotions. Here's how to label them. Here's some activities to talk about it. And here are some tools for kids and leaders to use. So we'll teach that on April 29th, and then May 6th and 13th will be 2 Sundays for you to try out some of those strategies on Sunday mornings, 2 weeks in a row. And then that'll bring us right up to the next Engage and Equip Breakout, where we can debrief.
Yeah, can I say something about that? The 6th and the 13th. I think you're going to notice that you're going to be more aware, maybe even hyper aware about kids coming in, and you're going to start looking at them saying, okay, what zone is this kid in? That's great. That's a great place to start. I don't want you to feel like that's like superficial or anything. I want you to do that, because when you start to do that, it becomes an automatic thing, and you're going to gravitate towards different kids that need help with that.
Yes.
So don't feel like, oh, this is so like weird, I'm judging kids by what color they're in. It's not a it is a judgment, and it's a loving judgment where you're you're helping them be in a place where they're ready to worship. If you're in KC and the kids come in and we play some games before worship, I just talked to a kid last week, and she was like, well, I just had a really hard time this morning. I didn't feel like worshiping. And so I was talking with her afterwards, and we just had a really good conversation. And funny thing, when they came back to after KC, after their lesson time, she was singing, and she was just in that place. And I know that I wasn't the only one. I saw her leaders talking with her, and so as a team, we were able to move her to a place where when they were singing, she was able to worship. And so it really does, it's not superficial to say, oh, this kid is in the blue zone. So do that for the 6th and the 13th, really be hyper-focused on that, and that's okay.
Yeah. Cool.
And then we'll debrief at the last.
We'll debrief at the next engagement clip of how those 2 weeks went, where we tried this out in the different environments. Yeah. We're trying this just like we tried the up rules. We're trying this. We're going to see how it goes. We're going to give it a fair chance to see how it works here. And we're excited to see how God uses it. Yeah, Thanks so much for watching this video. Email me or Heather any questions you might have about how this will roll out or how it works or anything like that. And we will see you
on the 14th
soon. On May 14th.
Actually, we'll see you at church before that, but
hopefully we'll see you at church before that. All right. Talk to you later.